Here we are in our food plot. I want to talk to you a little bit about food plots today. We're here in Delaware, Ohio at our farm. This food plot was treated with our food plot fertilizer we call Buck Stampede. You can see our great stand of clover and some alfalfa in there. You know, a lot of you guys are doing soil tests, which is good, but face it, most of you don't really know what to do with a soil test when you get it back. You know, legumes, those are your clovers and alfalfas. They need a lot more balanced nutrients in the soil to produce their own nitrogen. And the more nitrogen we can get these legumes to produce, the higher percent of protein that the forages will have in them that the deer and animals consume. So the higher percent of protein they have in them, the sooner we're going to fulfill that buck's body's needs, and the excess will go to antler development. Another thing that I've integrated into our fertilizer is the micronutrients and minerals. So the micronutrients, I call them cofactors that have to be in the fertility and available to the three big numbers, your N, P, and Ks, to get them into the plant, plus a lot of calcium. Calcium is the king of nutrients, and that also helps get other elements into your plant during the growing season. So again, a lot of you are taking soil tests, which is a good thing to do, but really that's going to show you your pH of your soil, and an optimum pH would be that 6.5 to 6.8 range. So most people, if they have a good pH, they won't apply lime. Well, most of the time lime is the only source of calcium anybody's going to get or apply on their food plots. And again, calcium is the king of nutrients, but to get calcium into the plant, you've got to have boron also, and a lot of these soils are definitely deficient in boron. So here east of the Mississippi, where we get 30 to 40 inches of rain, majority of these elements are just washed out of the soil and gone. And when you put them back, it creates the optimum growing environment for these food plots to last a lot longer and to keep up with consumption of the wildlife that are in them. But one of the biggest things that we do is we put the minerals in the fertilizer. So when you mineralize that soil, those minerals get into the plant. Obviously, we consider the soil the plant's stomach, and if it's not in the soil, it won't be in the plant. It's just like you and I, whatever we eat, that's what our bodies are fueled by, obviously. So again, you can just see the dark color of these legumes. They've got great balance. There's no deficiencies in those leaves at all. Those plants are getting everything they need, and that in turn will end up in the wildlife that consume these food plots. Again, people don't know soils. You don't know soils. Most of you out there don't know soils, and even if you take a soil test, you don't know what to do with it. That's why we've created all of our HyR BRIX fertilizers, whether it's from our produce production fertilizers, our pasture fertilizers, right down to our food plot fertilizers. They're super easy to use, but you won't believe the results you get. This food plot is 3 years old, and you can just see the richness in it, the great stand. It came up very well. We've got a few spots of some yellow foxtail came in it, but all in all, you can just see there's more than enough clover. This is a 500-acre farm we're on, that corn and soybeans, and that's what you really want to do with your food plot is draw them obviously from the corn and soybean fields. And that's what we see with our food plots. The people that use our food plot fertilizer, is that once the deer find these food plots, they come back to them. People that plant them say they're seeing deer come in from their neighboring properties, trails from their neighbors' properties, come into their food plots. And that's when people get pretty excited. But with so many people planting food plots, you have to make yours something special, make it different. And that's what we do with our fertilizer. By containing the micronutrients and the minerals, we're really enhancing the taste of the forages that the deer are consuming. Our food plot fertilizer, we're applying about 800 pounds per acre. And I know that sounds like a lot, but again, with the rainfall we get, most of these soils are so depleted of nutrients and minerals and micronutrients that it takes that amount. Usually the first 2 years we'll put on 800 pounds, then you can cut that rate in half. But we have to do the soil building first and get the elements back in the soil so you can produce food plots like this, that once the deer find them, they crave them and they'll come back to them. We've got beds out in the middle of these food plots where the deer sleep in these food plots. They don't want to leave them. So we've got a variety here of some chicory and some alfalfas and clovers out here also. A little bit of everything. Alfalfa is a really hard one to get or to sustain its growth. But with balance, it loves growing in this soil. It's going to stay here and produce like it should. So again, check us out, www.HyRBRIX.com, and we'd love to help you out with your food plots. And once you use this product, you'll be in the market for more, I guarantee it. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.